Happy holidays, everybody, and good afternoon. I'm going to start going through some of the holiday hazards since safety never takes a holiday. And we really don't want to be alarmist at the Missouri Poison Center, but just want you to have a safe and fun holiday season. So I'm going to start with our carbon monoxide detectors, and that's on the first day of our 12 Days of Christmas alerts out, is to have a carbon monoxide detector in your home. If you don't have one, you should get them, purchase them. I like the plug-in device because you don't have to worry about the batteries. And then there should be one at least on every level, and they do even suggest if you could get one in every bedroom. Because if there is a risk for carbon monoxide, it usually happens when we're sleeping because our furnaces are on, and that's kind of the silent thief, we call it, can get into your home. Some of the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning include nausea, vomiting, and can mimic the flu. So if you ever hear an alarm go off, take the advice of it and open up windows and get out of the house and call help. Our next holiday hazard out there we talk about on the second day of Christmas is with ornaments. And with ornaments, they're great to have on the tree, but if we have young children in the home, we want to get these glass fragile ornaments up high and have softer, more playable ornaments that they can grab in their reach. The problem with the glass is more if they would crunch on it, and it could cause more of an injury in the mouth or cuts on the tongue or in the throat. So we do handle calls at the Poison Center. Our nurses and pharmacists who specialize in poison information are happy to hear from you if your child does accidentally bite into an ornament in their reach. Now the next hazard that we really like to bring up are these button batteries, or the small batteries. You can see that they come in a variety of sizes, and what we really worry about are these larger ones. And people don't realize how easy this is to get stuck in a child's throat, and what it can do is perforate or really just sit there and get into the membrane and cause a burn and injury of the esophagus. Some of the smaller ones too, what we worry about is younger children can get these and they can put them in their nose or sometimes in their ears, and it can cause a burn, and it can even in the ear, if embedded for a period of time, can cause hearing loss. So what we do and our advice is if you have any small trinkets, to really be cautious, because look how easy this can happen. This little trinket unscrews, and then right on the top would be this small little battery that usually with young curious children goes right into the mouth, or sometimes too, unfortunately, in the nose or ear. What we say, if you have any small items or games, really make sure those screws are in place, and most often the toys these days do have the little tiny screw down caps, and you want to make sure they're there and really securing that battery in. Another hidden area we worry about these disc batteries are the musical cards. And usually young children like to look at the cards and then also can tear them apart. And again, if a larger battery is swallowed, what we would need to do is go into the hospital, and we would have to get a localization x-ray. And then we can determine if it's stuck in the throat or if it's made it into the stomach and not a problem. If in the stomach, usually it'll pass through easily within 4 days, but sometimes we get those stragglers out there that can take up to 2 weeks to pass. So we really get most concerned, especially in children under 6. But with those larger ones, even an adult who would accidentally swallow something, they have to get checked out. So the holidays get very busy, and we have a lot of visitors in our house. And with these visitors brings purses, overnight bags, grandparents with medication, and boy, that can really lead into some trouble. Just the overnight bags alone that are left in rooms and in the reach of children are just amazing of what can happen. So one hazard we don't think about in our little makeup bag, mouthwash. Mouthwash can contain up to 62% alcohol. And alcohol in young children can lower their blood sugar and really slow down or stop their breathing. And if you notice, when I turn this around, it looks just like a blue liquid. I don't know if any of you serve your kids Blueberry Boo Kool-Aid, but blue Gatorade and this look kind of the same and sometimes taste good. So again, watch out for the mouthwash. Then with pill planners, sometimes they're colorful and look like rattles, and then just pill medication bottles. Unfortunately, when grandparents are in the home, we get a little bit worried because they'll often, when they're going on trips, mix multiple medications in one bottle. And that makes it tough for our nurses on the hotline and pharmacists because then they don't know exactly what's been ingested. And we really have to work down getting numbers and information on the medication. What's good is we have child-resistant locks on these, but don't think it's child-proof. Child-resistant means it slows them down, but doesn't keep them all the way out. Now, another good thing is our specialist on the hotline can identify medications. So if you have one of those grandparents or even an adult visiting that mixes the medication, we can get the numbers and letters off of these tablets. And those numbers and letters give us great clues to be able to identify what's all in that bottle. We may not be able to get the exact count down, but we'll at least know what your child's ingested. So, we have a lot of these hanging on purses, backpacks, in our overnight bag, and what it is our hand sanitizers. And hand sanitizers, similar to the mouthwash, has alcohol in it and can be a risk. Sometimes they smell so good, kids think it's great to eat or drink. And so we really want to keep these high. Small taste, don't worry about it. But if it's a larger amount or a whole bottle ingested, we could have a serious exposure. And what worries me with some of the larger amounts, or even just how these lids flip open, it's a risk to get it into the eye beyond the mouth. So if you call right away and don't wait, we can give proper instructions how to rinse out the eye. And then the greatest thing is that we always call back. We don't just take a call and hang up. We follow up and make sure that person's okay. Now, other things in the bag, and this is actually in our top 2 list of things that kids get into, are actually cosmetics. And fortunately, with the cosmetics, they're non-toxic. So we have our variety of eyeshadows, lipsticks, and as well as mascaras. Great thing to know, kids love painting things up with it, and it's not going to be a problem. So clean them up, and always give us a call because we're happy to talk about what's gone on. Okay, now here is another choking hazard, and this is kind of nicely packed, and these are the rare earth magnets. We've also heard them called buckyballs, or we'll see them like in toys, like magnetics. And these really do concern us because if one swallowed, not a big deal. But what a lot of people don't realize, if multiple of these are swallowed, it can go down into the intestines, and then the 2 magnets kind of come together with the intestines, kind of loop together, and can cause a perforation or an injury and open up the intestines and be a very serious poison. So this isn't even just a risk for young children getting into an older child's game. We have adolescents that use these to sometimes pretend they have a fake piercing on their tongue. So there we go. We have 2 of these high-powered magnets, and then they can be swallowed by that adolescent. This too would be something that we would often get an x-ray for and make sure that the intestines aren't looped together and causing a problem with an injury. Next, we come upon our different medications, and I know it's been a tough flu season so far, and we really have a variety of medications. These are actually some just grabbed from my house, and I'm really impressed with how responsible the companies have become about warning labels. So we handle young children mostly, which is about, I'd say 51% of our calls at the Poison Center, but we get a good amount of calls on teens or tweens. And these adolescents find out that there is some medication in here that they can use to get high or a euphoric feeling. So there's a warning for the parents to watch out that this contains dextromethorphan. And we really have to watch our teenagers as well, because around this time some of the high schools are having finals, kids are stressed out, and then they start going to other medications. And think how accessible these are in our home. So what I recommend, even because we have young children or adolescents, I recommend getting one closet or a lockbox and keeping the medications beyond lock and key. And then I really want to see and often give my child. I have a teenager, but I always dispense the medication. It must be the pharmacist coming out at me. Now these drug facts labels, And the Poison Center has programs to help parents learn about the drug facts label. You look at such a label, and one, I think, boy, I need a magnifying glass. And the other thing is that's a lot of information in some small area. So the most important thing is to know the ingredients and the strength of the product. Because what happens when we're not feeling good, often we'll take 2 medications at a time, and we can double the amount of the same ingredient. So on the Missouri Poison Center website, or if you just want information, we can send out a free packet of information, and it's the correct way to get the information about the drug facts. And the other important item is use that dosing cup on there. We do not want to be using teaspoons or tablespoons out of our drawer. This is very important and can be extremely confusing because 2 teaspoons equals 10 milliliters. This is one of the better dosing cups I've seen because it gives us milliliters and teaspoons both. Often we can see cc's as well, and all of these are equivalent, but it's best to talk with one of our pharmacists or nurses to hear about if you're using the right equivalent dose. Or just make sure you keep that medication cup that came with the over-the-counter medicine, or if you're getting it filled by a pharmacist, they should be giving you a medication dosing spoon that accurately measures that dose. Now, a little beyond the drug facts labels too, we have to watch out with some of these products because they taste so good and look like candy. This is actually something called Dr. Cocoa, and it's a cough medication that looks just like Hershey syrup. So this is where we really say some poison tips for the family is whenever you give a dose of medication, put the lid back on tightly and put it back up high and in a locked cabinet where the child can't reach it. I know a lot of times as parents that late at night we're dosing the medication and leave it out on our nightstand, our kitchen countertop. Well, we're exhausted from being up all night with the sick child, and by the morning they're feeling better and up exploring their environment. And then what happens is they see that medicine and they remembered it tasting good, and then they get a drink of it. So we really want to get products again out of their sight and out of their reach. Next, we go into our holiday plant hazards. And boy, with the plants out there at this time of the year, they're beautiful, but yet can be a little bit toxic. We want to always start out first with Jerusalem cherries. They can be a choking hazard, but some of the ingredients in that plant can be much more serious than just a stomach upset or irritation. So if you really do have a child or even a pet that's ingested this, give the poison hotline at 1-800-222-1222 a call. You'll have an answer within seconds. Don't take the time to go to the internet or look it up. One of our nurses and specially trained pharmacists will be able to answer that. Not too toxic, but a strong irritant is that beautiful pine that we have in our house or with our Christmas trees this time of year. And the pine can just be so irritating to a little one's mouth, or if someone's allergic, it can cause a sensitivity or allergic type reaction with hives and itching. So to be cautious with this and just really keep it, it's fine to decorate with it, just get it up out of their reach. So we talk about kids and where they're at and at eye level and crawling, and you think about what's around their environment and where they can go to. I always want to put a camera on a young child just to see what's at their eyes, and we know if we get it up in a cabinet and out of their sight, we're going to be much safer. Holly berries, another plant we have in our home around the holidays. A large amount of these that look kind of like a cherry, maybe a pomegranate, can lead to real severe stomach upset and irritation. So we just have to be cautious if a child does get into it, how many they ate. And then the myth I always like to bust at Christmas time is about our poinsettia plant. And people always think poinsettias are so poisonous and are harmful or toxic. Not going to believe, but it takes 500 to 600 leaves of a poinsettia to be a problem. And then at the most, it might cause a little stomach upset. So decorate away with those poinsettias. Another item in the house that is safe to have during the holidays is the Christmas cactus. The Christmas cactus doesn't have as many prickly needles as our normal cactus, and the flower's beautiful this time of year. And it's totally safe if we have young children and pets in the home. Won't hurt either of them. Other items, mistletoe we think about a lot. Times we'll decorate with mistletoe, which is good, it's up high. but the berries can fall off. If we have the true American mistletoe, it's something that's safe to have in the home and will not cause a problem. So if you see the overall theme, my only Christmas plant that I get concerned about is the Jerusalem cherry, and that would be something not to have in the house. Otherwise, children can tolerate a good amount of most of these plants. With our ornaments, what we can also see, and this is one of those antique ornaments that contain lead paint. We don't want children getting into these repetitively or on numerous occasions because of the risk for lead poisoning. So what we want to do, again, this is an ornament that should be up high or maybe just displayed in a case so it doesn't get broken. Now, again, lead exposure on a one-time case and ingesting some is not trouble. But if a child would repetitively get into it day after day or to pieces or chips of paint that could be in the home, we run a risk for lead poisoning. And lead poisoning really can start out with a non-specific stomach upset, loss of appetite, but if levels get high in the body, we get worried about that it can cause attention deficit disorder, anxiety, irritation, and it would need treated with a special medication to get it out of the system. Another thing is our food preparation. There's so many good appetizers and meals that we share in the holidays. And with appetizers, you want to remember, if you put those out before the meal, you want to put them away before you start eating that meal. Hot food should stay hot and cold food should stay cold. So if we're having that appetizer, find a share in it. Once we eat, get that in the refrigerator. Make sure your meats are cooked to the proper temperatures. And then after you're finished eating, things should be into the refrigerator, all those good leftovers, within 2 hours so that they're safe to eat. And a good recommendation is to really throw those leftovers away within 3 to 4 days or get them in the freezer to have at a later time. Now I mentioned about going and being and seeing things at the child's eye. So we think about most of our age children that get into items are crawling around on the floor, and that's where our light sockets are. And we love using these plugins. These scented plugins go right into the wall, and then we have the container of the liquid or the scent that goes out. Often they'll smell like cinnamon, they'll smell like cherry, and this is something that the child will want to get into, take a drink. Well, when they realize it's not something good to drink, they often gasp or pull in the air, and this liquid can go into their lungs and cause a chemical pneumonia. If it's just a small drink that goes down fine, we're in good shape. But if there's a lot of coughing and choking, we get worried about that it can cause a chemical pneumonia, and we need to follow up on that child usually at about 1 hour. We check back again in 6 hours, and then at 24 hours, making sure a chemical pneumonia doesn't develop. And what worries me about that is we really have these accessible and around our homes. So this is one item. Something else very popular that we're seeing more and more use in the home, and this is tea tree oil or just all the essential oil products. We have lavender, chamomile, just peppermint, different things as natural remedies. The essential oils can be extremely irritating. So on the skin, sometimes children or even adults react or ingested, again, irritation, a choking hazard, and just depending on the amount ingested is what's going to lead us to how we can handle the case at home. At the Poison Center, we are able to keep about 70% of our calls at home without going to an emergency department. And so we really like to see and get that call, because we don't want you wasting your time at the holidays sitting in the hospital when you don't need to be there, and think of the cost savings.
So there are some other items on the table. Can you tell us a little bit about those, the bonus 12-day holiday hazards?
Yeah, after those 12 days leading up to Christmas, then we get the fun of New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So New Year's Eve, what we see are these alcoholic beverages. And boy, they taste good, really attractive bottles, sometimes small, sometimes big. Looks like the perfect size for a little hand to get into. What concerns us with the alcohol is, as adults, of course, we need to drink responsibly, but what happens is the after party. All these drinks and leftovers are left in glasses, And the kids are put to bed early, and the parents are up late a lot of times. And with that, we're very tired and don't want to clean up after the party. And then these sweet tasting drinks are left out. So mom and dad are sleeping in, and the kids are up exploring in the morning, and often hungry and thirsty. So that's where we see a risk that they can get into the alcohol. And again, it can lower their blood sugar, make them go into a deep sleep or coma, or lead to death. So definitely, no matter how tired you are, clean up after that party. And beyond that, sometimes we'll have guests over that might be smoking. So we have smoking cigars or cigarettes or vaping. And both are a concern to us. Cigars, still out there being smoked, and what do we get? We get an ashtray with the butts left behind. Believe it or not, 1 inch of a cigar eaten by a child can cause real severe nausea, vomiting, and could lead to seizures or death. So be cautious with those. It takes about 2 to 3 cigarettes or 6 to 8 butts to be trouble. Now with the vaping that we see more and more commonly, this is what worries us, is access to these bottles of the liquid nicotine. And what can be scary is they can contain from 1 milligram per just 1 small milliliter up to say 60 to 80 milligrams. And you think about just sometimes a few drops of that, depending on the size and weight of that young child, can again lead into this very serious symptoms of vomiting, sweating, increased heart rate, and could really lead even into a heart attack or death. So get these products out of their reach. So when you have guests over, you have women bringing in their purses and lots of items. Get those in a closet and up high so the kids can explore and get into those. And again, what's always best is don't search the internet. Don't take that time. Within seconds, one of our nurses or pharmacists who are specially trained in poison information can give you an answer and reassure you. Yes, for free, you get a special consultation with a healthcare professional within seconds. And the good thing too is it's all confidential. Never do we divulge that information to anyone else. We help you through that exposure by talking through what happened and to really work down how we can treat them at home, and then we call back until we can make sure your child's okay. And say certainly we don't have the ability or you don't answer that call on follow-up, we also can text or chat with you from our website to make sure that they're okay. The important thing is if we do watch you at home, we want to ensure that things stayed fine and really make sure you have a happy and safe holiday season.
Can you remind us again what that number is that people can call?
Yes, the national toll-free number is 1-800-222-1222. And our call to action is get that number programmed into your cell phone, because what's so great about that is if you go on vacation, wherever you're at, that number will work. Now you're directed to the Poison Center where the area code is on your phone. So if you have a Missouri phone, you'll go to the Missouri Poison Center. If you have an Illinois exchange like 618, that goes to the Illinois Poison Center. So this is a nationwide toll-free number, and you'll get a poison center anywhere in the United States.